What's up guys, welcome to Munchkin's Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkin's logging in to bring you another Exos Heroes video, and welcome back to another first impressions video, and this time it's going to be on the core reversal once again, and it's on Blue Dragon's Descent Xiakhan. So I haven't really seen any of the changes, and again this is going to be in a very structural way. We'll talk about the changes in his passive active skills, and then we'll talk about PvP, offensive and then defensive PvP, and then of course we can talk about PvE. So let's take a look at the changes for Xiakhan's Fate Core. So the first change is Blue Dragon's Protection. This increases the block of all allies by 150% of his own block for 1 round. So this is actually really good. We still haven't gotten anyone who's actually increasing people's block as far as I'm aware. And this is actually a good conjunction with his Awakening, because it increases his own block by 130, and decreases the critical hit by 180. This does increase his attack, and he's got that damage immunity. So if you know the Harbinger of Awakening sort of buff already, this is basically it, and he does have that thrust, which honestly we're not gonna go over. Now my biggest thing here, I know that with Dragon's Descent increases by 360, is this going to refresh every round? That is my question with this. It says it does get removed when the ally is attacked, and it only lasts for 1 round. But does it refresh, or is it one of those just a 1 round thing? If this is a 1 round thing, I wouldn't get too excited, but it definitely will help in terms of especially defensive PvP, which we'll go over later on. That is going to be the question in my head, so we'll have to wait and see with that one. Next is Dragon's Anger, which is his skill 1, his active skill. So this will have an increase in mana. It will require 2 mana. However, it does get a 75% increase in the damage. So I think that's okay. Usually you do get the 300% damage for 1 mana, so yeah, and it still has the guaranteed critical hit as long as the target is disheartened, and this is the biggest thing here. You do have to pair him up with Rachel, because he is the only one that I do believe that has the disheartened mark, so he is going to be paired with Rachel more than anything else. So there is that. His second ability, or second skill, active skill, is Deluge. Dragon, which will get another increase in mana. So this is going to be a 255% damage to all enemies this time, not on the back row at all. So that would justify the increase in mana, in all honesty. It still has the guaranteed critical hit as long as they're disheartened, which is actually always pretty nice. My biggest thing is obviously there's no burst on this one, so that is something that we have to consider. Overall, I think it's a pretty good buff for a Fate Core we don't normally see in the meta. So okay, let's talk about PvP, and we'll start off with offensive. In terms of offensive PvP, there's definitely a space for him, especially if you're fighting someone who's got I've seen a few now where people are deviating away from FC Rera and going with FC Diva. With FC Diva, her first skill is an AoE skill, and if you pair her up with, of course, FC Annie, it increases her chance to crit, and her crit damage actually doubles if I remember correctly. So this ability will definitely help in that regard, increasing your block chance, and of course obviously will decrease the amount of damage you are going to be taking on the first round and even on the first turn of the enemy. Granted, it will take the buff away straight away, but what we don't know is whether this will be reapplied in the next round or it just stays for one round. I guess if it does get reapplied, it is going to be very powerful, and I know that will change the meta a little bit because people will want this because the block is pretty insane. The amount of damage reduced when you block is pretty high amount. So I would say, yeah, this is actually good offensively. You know, if you're fighting certain party compositions, but even with the current, you know, FC Rara and who else was there? FC Annie and FC Iris and all that, just the normal meta composition. And I think there's still some use to it, while you probably won't be taking a lot of AoE damage. It's still pretty helpful even in a single target attack. So I do feel like both offensive and defensive, this is actually really good. Now, yeah, the question is, does it get reapplied? I don't think so, but I would love to be wrong. And if I am wrong, I mean, this is gonna be really great. People will be switching up their teams with this and probably bringing FC Rachel back in to the mix as well. While we still do see FC Rachel or Rachel around different party comps, he's not prevalent. He's not like there all the time, you know. Although people who probably have his whale force or I mean signature force will probably use him because obviously it is a big advantage to have the signature force, and if you do have that, then you know it sort of trumps over that regular meta. So and then obviously the increase in damage, getting 2 mana isn't going to be difficult at all, so you'll have that guaranteed critical hit, especially if you have a very powerful Rachel. Now, in order to have the disheartened, Rachel's attack has to be higher than the enemy's attack. So yeah, which isn't so much difficult. I think the only ones that I can really think of that will probably have a higher attack stat than Rachel will be like Bathory. People who run Bathory will have to have a higher attack stat for Bathory to apply Tranquil to their party. So naturally, Bathory will have a high amount of attack. So the other ones that I can think of is Dorka. People who run Dorka in their party comps, her attack needs to be higher than the others before she can apply the Soulbound buff. So that is another one that will probably have normally will have a higher attack stat. But yeah, Disheartened, definitely, I think in terms of offensive, I would really love to have Rachel around. And the blue Rachel as well, actually. Now that I think about it, will he be affected with blue Rachel? I don't actually know his nation. Anyway, we're getting off track. In terms of this one as well, I mean, if you're offensive, you have an option to do an all attack. Now the biggest thing here is Xiakhan's an ice element, and that just means that Summer's Blessing can block him. So I guess I'm not sure which one's faster, Bathory or himself. I guess that's something we can check out later in the video. You know, you need to cancel Summer's Blessing, and the only way to do that is to actually attack them with an ice element. So that is something that you just have to keep in mind, that he is an ice element character. Now let's talk about defensive PvP. Like I already mentioned, this is definitely good for defensive purposes already. It's really great. He would actually be great to run with other tanks as well. Not FC Luke, who was FC Tantalo, who blocks like critical hits. I think both of them like will increase your chance of survivability, but this is really nice. I don't know. Again, it's just whether it refreshes or not. And I mean, defensively, obviously they will use skill 1 first, which is not bad, especially if you are bringing FC Rachel. Once again, 375% damage isn't something to joke at. The only problem is, again, Summer's Blessing, and I'd be guessing FC Iris is in anyone's team at this point. If they haven't, obviously, if they been playing for a while, they should have FC Iris on their roster. So that is the only thing with defensively, that they have no choice but to use their first skill, and then in the second round they will use their second skill, which if you haven't, I guess the best thing is to actually take a look which one's faster. Is Bathory faster, or is Xiakhan faster? And I think we should go ahead and take a look at that real quick. So we'll be going to the journal, and we can check Bathory, see more. And her attack speed is 56, Xiakhan is 75, so Xiakhan will definitely go first, but this just means your Bathory is going to be free to do her AoE attacks. So if you are in offensive mode, that is. But unfortunately for defensive, if Xiakhan goes first, he's only going to take off 1 Summer's Blessing, and your Bathory will just do her first skill, and she'll be able to at least hit 1. That is the most unfortunate thing with defensive PvP. So, but overall, I still like the block protection. It definitely helps you with survivability, making sure you can move to the next round. So, let's talk about PvE this time. Now, PvE, like always, it's in a funny position. The only thing I can really think of in PvE is just clearing out chapter 12, chapter 11, and chapter 12, and of course Holy Dragon Grounds, right? Those are the only real things that goes in my head when it comes to PvE, because honestly speaking, the endgame PvE, they're pretty notoriously bad. Very unforgiving as well. So I wouldn't put it past people probably not finishing off like PvE and just going to PvP, which is kind of a shame, honestly. For me, I haven't done any of the hard mode contents post, I think chapter 2 or something like ridiculous, because enemies just keeps on dodging. Their dodge was like too insanely high. So yeah, other than that, there's really nothing else in PvE. So I just want to quickly check, because I thought he had Dragon's Blessing. Ah, he doesn't. Okay, never mind. Maybe that was just in my head. So PvE wise, I don't think he's going to be a huge help. Even the Holy Dragon Grounds, even in like Ice Day, because if this refreshes, then obviously there's a lot more use for this Blue Dragon's protection. If this doesn't refresh and only lasts for 1 round, yeah, there's really not much use for that. It really all depends on whether this refreshes or not. We'll find out soon enough. And yeah, if it does, it's a huge help in PvE and in PvP. But if it doesn't, it's more for PvP more than anything else rather than PvE. So we'll just have to wait and see. Xiakhan is going to be a blue Fate Core. I actually don't know if I own this Fate Core on top of my head. I doubt that I do. But you know, he looks pretty cool in that blue dragon, you know, skin there. So that's it pretty much for this video, guys. Please, once again, please do remember to click like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help the channel, and I really do appreciate all the support that you guys give me. And as always, follow me on Facebook and on Twitter at Munchkins Gaming. And of course, I want to hear you guys' opinion regarding this Fate Core, Reverse Fate Core, or Core for Xiakhan. Let me know down in the comments below what you think. Do you think he's gonna break the meta or not? Do you think that block is going to be refreshable or not? Let me know down in the comments below. Anyway, this is Munchkins logging off. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys